My first impression was what the Italians call brividi. Chills ran up and down my spine of excitement to see so many great masterpieces here in one place. There hasn't been an exhibition of this scope and this breadth in the history of loving Italian art since 1922 at the Palazzo Pitti in Florence. They did a great show of the 17th century, and that exhibition didn't have all selected masterpieces. It also had lesser artists. So from the point of view of a masterpiece exhibition of the two centuries, Sei and Settecento, 17th and 18th century, this is absolutely the first time. He was constantly getting into trouble on the streets of Rome because he ran with a crowd of people who were not necessarily interested in art. They were interested in fighting with swords and carrying on late into the evenings in the taverns and bordellos. And that is why his life is wrapped in this dark aura, because he couldn't behave himself properly. Finally, one day in 1606, he killed, we think accidentally, one of his rivals, who was not a painter, and had to flee. In the last 4 years of his life, he's fleeing the law. The reason he goes to Malta is when they make him a Knight of Malta, he's safe as long as he stays on Malta. But he can't stay still, and he starts coming back to Rome, and someone kills him thinking that they can get the reward. And so his body is never found again because they must have thrown it over the side of a boat. This is a very interesting Caravaggio. Here we have a very good example of how, although the paintings of Caravaggio seem purely realistic, in fact, because he loved poetry, he was a friend of the best poet of the time, whose name was Gian Battista Marino. There are always layers of allegorical meaning laid on top of each other in his works. For example, looking at this picture of St. Francis, who's in contemplation of the crucifix, we should ask ourselves, isn't it a little unusual the way the crucifix holds the book open? You never saw that in any other painting. Well, St. Francis had a saying that was repeated by the Franciscans. He used to say, "Our book is the cross." And so Caravaggio found a way to indicate this motto, this saying, "Our book is the cross." He's reading the crucifix as though it were the story in words. Now he himself, his figure is unusual in the sense that it seems all dark and empty inside the figure of St. Francis. With Caravaggio, we have to keep looking to understand this better. And we notice, well, the book leans on the skull, and the skull is painted to emphasize the emptiness of the bone of the skull. And that could be interesting, but then we get confirmation there's more here. Behind him, he's painted this tree that the trunk is blasted open and we see inside it's empty. So the meaning, when something's repeated 3 times, we're clearly onto something. The meaning is our flesh is just the container of the important part, which is the spirit inside, which is life. Well, it is coming through the darkness of the night, and with Caravaggio, the light has a value of the descending spirit.